Hello, everybody. Welcome to the House Medium. I'm Adela Levine. I'm moving my headset a little bit so I can hear myself better. I'm Adela Levine, your House Medium, and this is another episode of the House Medium where you are a part of this podcast. You send in your emails, I read them, I put sound effects onto them. My favorite part. And then I have you on and I tell you what I see, your paranormal experiences. Did I mention you send in your paranormal experiences? So I have a really awesome one today. This is about a castle in Sweden. Yeah. You can't get any better than that. Let me rephrase this. A haunted castle in Sweden. Or I like to say a visited castle in Sweden. Oh, did I forget my lights again? My little fairy lights that I like to put on. Come on, fairy lights. Be nice. There's always technical issues with me. Yeah, so while I'm trying to turn on these lights, um I'm really excited because I have two guests on at the same time. It was important for them to both come on. They're sisters, Nicole and Angel. Isn't that so sweet? And they are a fan of this podcast, which I'm so thrilled that they finally wrote in because they have told me that they've been listening and they really specifically asked me to go into the Medium Brew Cafe, which I'm going to do. Um, and I'm going to get into a little bit about them because there's a look. Here you go. Putting a little lipstick on. There you go. Putting lipstick on. And oh, by the way, that is connects to them. I'll get to that in a minute. However, so they finally wrote in, and I'm so happy they did. And the timing was perfect because they were going to Sweden, and I actually did a reading for I think it was Nicole. And I said to them, or it was Nicole or Angel, one of them. And I said, "You're going to Sweden." I think it was Angel. And I said, "If you're going to Sweden, you better look out for some cool stuff. And if you see any cool stuff or experience any cool paranormal stuff," and I didn't know they were going to a castle, "then you better write it in. You better." And they did. So they experienced stuff and they wrote it in. So this is going to be an awesome one. I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. But I'm going to go ahead and give a little talk. So I don't have any paranormal gossip. I feel like I've been a little behind on these things. It's been summer, so it's been a little hard to juggle all of the summer stuff and all of the things I'm doing. But don't worry, September, we have October coming up, and I got to lead up to October. So I got to do a lot of cool stuff for all of my Halloween junkies out there. For me, it's just another time of year. Just saying. Halloween, schmalloween. I mean, for me, for me, it's just another time a year. I am going to be pulling out. I think I need to put batteries in this one because this one, I'm going to be pulling out all of my fun little, I love, if you don't know this about me, but I love all of these fortune telling. Like, here's one right here. It's stuck. Look, it's just stuck. Oh, is it going to give a fortune? No, see, it's not turning. It's supposed to turn. Or it's supposed to say a fortune. It says no fortune. It just goes on and on like this. Now I regret turning it on because I can't turn it off. Unfortunately, the battery is dead. So now I'm going to irritate all of you. Wow. Good job, Adela. Good job. Hopefully it's going to stop anytime soon. Anytime. Still going with no fortune. Wow. This is really irritating. It stopped with no fortune. Anyway, I will have a lot of these things that are working. This one, for those of you who are listening, it's like a little fortune wheel and all of that. I love these at this time of year. So I got at this time of year. I'm already like there. We're still in we're just moving into August. Anyway, speaking of August, I do have a lot of fun stuff planned for August as well. I'm going to be doing I'm planning an in-person event, but I don't want to talk about it until it's all like set. But I have been doing in person readings, and that leads me to Nicole and Angel. I'm doing in person readings in Burbank for those who are in the LA area in the seance room. It's in a very cool location where they have theme rooms, and the room, of course, that I picked. I mean, duh, is the seance room. And it's super awesome. It's kind of like if you're watching this on YouTube, it's kind of like the way I have my backdrop here set up. But of course, it's better because it's actually full like table and a chandelier and all of that. This Friday, by the time you hear this podcast, it may already be filled. I only have 2 spots, not this Friday, this Saturday. I have 2 readings open, 12:15 and 1:30, but I'm pretty sure well, I know the 12:15 is taken, but one of the spots may be open. Hopefully by the time you hear this, if it's not open, then don't worry. I'm going to continue to do in-person readings at this location. I'm very excited about that. And so getting back to Angel and Monica, Monica. Where did Monica come from? Do you guys know a Monica? The Angel and Nicole, do you guys know a Monica? Where did that name come from? What? Anyway, getting back to Angel and Nicole, um, Nicole came in for a reading in person, and they were so sweet. They gave me a card writing, thanking me for everything I do. They gave me a Sephora gift card because they said they like my lipstick. So you do notice I have an obsession with makeup. Okay, I'm glad. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. I feel like I have my own hair on my face. Okay, or it's cat hair. I don't know. Anyway, so they gave me this and Swedish candy. And it's all gone. Let me tell you, the Swedish candy. I've seen some stuff on TikTok about this, but the like gummy candy, awesome. Tastes amazing. Ate it all up. It's all gone. So they figured out I like sweets. They told me by listening and watching. They figured out I love makeup. And then they wanted to give me a sweet card in appreciation and thank you so much. And so they came to an in-person reading before I was doing this podcast. So it was just kind of perfect timing so I can give you a shout out and thank you both so much. It just really touched my heart, and it just, I don't know, I just appreciate that you appreciate what I'm doing here. They said please go into the Medium Brew Cafe. I said duh. And honestly, it's too low. Hello, louder people in my cafe. But I am going to get back into all of my things. I will say that I have talked to Aunt Betty. Aunt Betty, I talk to her all the time. And she like gives me pep talks and things. Lately, I've been kind of explaining how, technology works. So I'm definitely going to have an Aunt Betty Says coming up soon. But let's get to this email because it is so awesome. I wanted to do a medium brew cafe for Nicole and Angel. So this was for you guys, but let's leave the medium brew cafe and go on out. Wanted to remind everybody that I did change my mentorships that people have been taking from me. I had to change them to 2 packages. The mentorships is I mentor you if you want to kind of do a one-on-one to hone your abilities, to hone your spiritual gifts, or if you want to go professional, or if you want me to help you with changes in your life, more of a like holding your hand and keeping you accountable to things. And so now I have 2 packages. One is 2 1-hour sessions or 3 1-hour sessions, meaning that now I'm going to give you a code and you'll be able to book it when you want. That way, because this going back and forth emailing was driving me nuts and it wasn't working. And this is much more streamlined. So you can check that out on my website. And I post things on my Instagram. And thank you all who have joined my Patreon, because everyone who's joined my Patreon, you support what I do. And I have a Sacred Scholar now where I post classes. And this month's class is going to be remote viewing. Remote viewing. Yep. I'm excited about that one. It's a video. You watch it. You don't have to show up. Don't worry. You don't have to go on a Zoom. And if you level up, if you're already on my Patreon, you will be able to unlock all the classes that I'm posting. They're shorter classes, they're easier, they're palatable. And that's something you guys have been supporting me. I'm 8 people away from 100. I feel like I've said it a million times because I've been counting it wrong. But I just did speed readings. They're just released. I do speed readings every month. And when last time I did it, I looked at it when I was doing the speed readings, I did 92 people. So there you go. All right. I know some people are like, Adela, can you just get to the email? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting to the email. Here we go. All right. I got to get my stuff going. Hold on. I'm getting my stuff going. I want to get the ambiance right. Okay. Hold on. I want to get the sound. I'm trying to listen. Is this the right volume? All that. Okay, here we go. Ready? Hi, Adela. It's Angel and Nicole. We just got back from our Sweden trip and wanted to make sure to tell you about some of our experiences while we were there. Interestingly, several members of our family had their own separate experiences too, but we thought we'd write in about ours. We will list some of the things they experienced at the end of the email in case those are useful. Okay, so just a little backstory real quick on this email. They literally thought I was gonna be like, no, it's just like not gonna work. It's just too little of a story. What? They're in a Swedish castle and they had like several things from several different family members in several different rooms, and they think I'm going to just go, it's just not cutting. It's not cut. It's just not given. It's not given enough. No, this is why I always write into the housemedium@gmail your story. Okay. All right. For our cousin's wedding, the entire family of about 60 people. Isn't that a lot to go to a destination wedding? Stayed at the Ranas Slott Castle, about an hour north of Stockholm, where it's extremely rural, surrounded by lush green forests. The history of Ranas dates all the way back to the 1700s, but the foundation of the castle was built in 1833. We'd never been anywhere with that much history before. As we pulled up, and by the way, they're as you can notice, because I said they came to see me, they're here in LA. And here in LA, we don't have a lot of history that goes past the 50s, okay? Anyway, just saying, it just isn't as prevalent. As we pulled up into the courtyard, it immediately felt like we were being watched from above through the multiple windows of the castle. We were staying there for 2 nights, and during our stay, we noticed that every hallway and each room we stayed in had many old-timey black and white pictures of people. Ooh, those are my favorite. And by the way, in the seance room that I do doing my readings, that's how they decorated it. And I love it. Just saying. What felt really eerie is that the castle felt like a snapshot of those olden days, and you were just stepping into it because of how preserved everything was. Ooh, it's the best. A couple of hours before we were checking out, my sister Nicole closed her eyes and saw a face staring back at her. It wasn't human, and she had a strong feeling that it came outside the castle or from the woods. Its face protruded out downwards into a pointed beak. With her eyes still closed, she also saw an image of clearing in the woods before it changed into a scary image of a person's body hanging by its limbs. With its back facing the ground randomly, I, Angel, felt a feeling of a woman being persecuted or in trouble for some reason. But I knew that it wasn't just and that it was somehow related to the image of the clearing in the woods. The timing and the details feel fuzzy because this all happened in the span of less than 5 minutes. Were these things connected? And just to update you, too, here's a list of some of the family's experiences in the separate rooms. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets good. I mean, it all gets good, but this is like amps up. It just keeps going. Our cousin said that she had a dream where she was in her bed at the castle, and when she looked beside her, there was a girl on her bed, cross-legged, or what we know as crisscross applesauce. The girl looked at her, shrugging her shoulders and pointing at her TV. She said, then she woke up and turned her TV off without questioning it. Always fun to find a spirit little girl just telling you to turn on the TV. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Our aunt was extremely spooked our last morning there at breakfast because she said in the middle of the night, she heard a woman's voice loud in her ear saying her name. We want to keep it anonymous, but her name is very unique, which is a good confirmation. And by the way, these are all check boxes of high paranormal activity. I want to say like this is kind of more on an 8 level. She said it woke her up. She said it woke her up screaming. And her husband had to calm her down so she wouldn't wake up the whole floor up. My cousin's grandma told me she saw a woman sitting in the chair in her room. I mean, I feel like these people are just like staring. They're like, hello, we're going to sit in chairs. We're going to sit on your bed. We're just going to talk to you. Like, we're going to do whatever we want because this is our castle in Sweden. Multiple people heard hurried footsteps and knocking. Hurried footsteps and knocking. Hurried footsteps and knocking through the night. So hurried footsteps and knocking. So people just walking around, knocking, just walking around and knocking. I always find that interesting. That means they really want you to know. Whenever there's knocking and walking, that's because they're trying to get your attention. It's not an accident. They want you to know. Very aware. All right, we continue on with some more stories. So now we go to one of our cousins. Said she heard a piano playing a song in the middle of the night. Nothing like a good, interesting spirit, ghost energies in a sweet castle than a good piano playing in the middle of the night. Playing a song in the middle of the night, and she assumed it was some other cousin. But after checking with everyone, nobody was awake at that time. And especially to be playing the piano up in the empty ballroom, a piano playing with nobody there, in a ballroom, in a castle. I mean, it has all the best things that you would want when you want to deal with the paranormal. Lots of lights flickering and items moving on their own without logical explanation as well. We're not sure if our story would be long enough. What? Yeah, it's fine. For the podcast, or if it's better for the reader's room, but we just wanted to tell you about Sweden. It was a fun trip, and we feel so lucky to have gone. Love you and your podcast. Sincerely, Angel and Nicole. I mean, I sigh this is just like, thank you for letting me live vicariously through you. Because if I'm going to ever hang out with some friends in the other realm who are, showing up through visions, sitting on beds, also maybe scaring us a little bit, walking around while pounding on the walls and doors to get our attention, and then lastly, playing piano. As some people may not like this, but for me, Adela, the housemate, I, so yeah, of course, this was something you should have wrote in, and I'm so glad you did. So let's hear what I had to say to Nicole and Angel. Oops, the wrong sound. Hi, hello everybody. So, you heard me read Angel and Nicole's email, and this is a different one. This is my first time having two people on at the same time. You hear that, everybody? That means this could happen again. So that there's no excuses. It was a straight, they were like, is this going to be weird? I don't know. We have different stories and it's the both of us. And I'm like, yeah, weird is kind of actually what this podcast is about. So I have them both here so that people know who's who. Let's first say hello to Angel.
Hi, everyone. This is Angel.
And let's say hi, Nicole.
Hi, guys. This is Nicole.
And to remind you, they're sisters, and we worked this out so perfectly. They're in the same house, but they're in separate rooms. So we're like having like a true studio experience here, virtual. So we're going to break down. First of all, let's hear how Sweden was. They had their trip to Sweden, as you heard me read and talk about, their email, that this all happened in Sweden, which is just so awesome for me, especially because I was like, if any cool stuff happens, you got to come on the podcast. So who wants to start with just kind of the rundown of how, we're going to break down the email, but who, like, just, how was Sweden?
Yeah, it was such an amazing experience to kind of be in this whole different place. Even flying in, you kind of see so much more nature than here. We're out here in LA, and there's just so many
Right.
forests. Even on the plane, it's like, wow, like everything's covered with green. So it's
Mm-hmm.
so nice, and also just like the architecture is so different. You kind of feel like you're in a different world there, right? At like all the colors.
Yeah, and then, for most of us, well, we share this with Adela, but we do prefer daytime over nighttime. And we
Yes.
love that in Sweden, we would be out at 10 p.m. or
Okay.
even past almost midnight, and there was still sun out.
That's
So
what's
it
so
felt really nice in
crazy.
the summer. Hmm.
Yeah, I would love that. Me being like a day person, and I wake up at like 5 I wake up with the sun.
Yeah.
So if I would totally, it would probably be a little confusing because I would be like tired, and but at the same time the sun's out. But that sounds awesome, and I bet it's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So let's get to the nitty gritty of the awesomeness of this email. So I have your email right here. Okay, so we're breaking it down. So you just got back, And the cool thing about this is that, like, everybody in the family, so you guys were there for a wedding, right?
Yes, so it was our cousin's wedding. She was marrying a Swedish guy, so it was our family and his family kind of gathering together in Sweden. But our side of the family, we were like 30 plus strong. So that's a lot of
What?
us.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yes.
Filipino families are huge. So,
Yeah.
it was everyone coming out there from, the US, so
Hmm.
literally 30 plus people in this, castle place.
In a castle. I mean, wow. Wow, wow, wow. 30 people went to Sweden. I mean, that's dedication from a family.
It really was. It was definitely, I would say, like, a long time coming. They had, like, been planning this and, we would just kind of hear about it, and to actually have it happen and to actually go was amazing.
Yeah. No, no, no. That's like I don't know, I'm really jealous. That's like really cool. And also I just think it's really cool that your whole family was willing, because I mean, a lot of times people, let's be honest, sometimes in this case it's not because she's marrying someone from Sweden, but a lot of the times people have destination weddings as a deterrent.
That's so funny, Adela. I agree. I feel like, friends my age who are getting married, we're talking about it. And honestly, destination weddings a little bit more intimate. It's a little bit of a deterrent because it's mostly going to be
Hmm.
very close family and friends who are coming. But that
Right.
was the close family and immediate, family. It was just happened to be 30 plus.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of times people have it, so they're like, we love to have you all, but I don't know what to tell you. We're gonna be in Chile. I mean, good luck. So like people are just like, oh well, okay, and like yeah, it really. I'm like, man, we really wish you all could come, but in your I mean, 30 is still like pretty intimate, but it's a lot for families to like, commit to
Right.
going. So that just
Mhm.
shows that your family is pretty tight. Okay. So this is to set up for everyone to realize that the experiences we have are not only from Nicole and Angel, but this is from the whole fam. So we're going to get into it. Okay. So you're saying like this is for your cousins. We're breaking it down. Oh, so there was a total of 60 people, including
His
his
side.
His
family.
side,
Okay. That's not
yes.
too bad. That's
Hmm.
still a pretty intimate wedding
It
considering some
was.
people have like 200 people and stuff. Okay. But it's in a castle. Damn.
Mhm.
I mean, what? Okay, first of all, before we set up the things that happen, can you guys describe the castle? We want everyone to get like in it. Yeah.
Yes, okay. So It was an it's an hour, I believe, drive by bus from Stockholm. So
Okay.
as you're in the bus, you kind of start to see all of the buildings start to dwindle away, and you kind of are now surrounded
Oh,
by just vast farmland, and forests too. And so you kind of I started to feel like, oh my gosh, we're like kind of far away from everything. And so it took quite a while to get there, and a bus with 30 plus people is very interesting in itself.
yeah.
Um, but we pull up, and I think immediately we kind of felt a little bit strange. I know my sister was saying that she kind of felt like, what were you saying about like the
Yeah, I mean,
windows?
just the grounds of the castle, you're pulling up, like Nicole says, it's grand. I mean, there's a courtyard, there's a large pond, a lake to the back. I mean, you're really not in central Stockholm, like she says, with all these buildings. Pulling up to the castle itself, you park right in front of it, and I mean, like 30 windows. It's just, you see how huge this thing is and
Wow.
how it looks like it was transported just from the 1700s or 1800s and just plopped right into 2024. So that
Yes.
feeling is very much still there of like how old that is.
Yeah,
Wow.
it
Okay.
definitely just it looks so different again from what we're used to.
Mhm.
It literally feels like you're like going into like a book and kind of like really
Fairy tale
seeing,
book,
yeah, a
right?
fairy tale, because
Mhm.
it's very different. Like my sister was saying, there's so many windows, and also just kind of how old everything feels. They kind of kept it very they did not really modernize like all of the doors and everything, so it's just it feels like you're walking into the past.
Yeah, that's the thing about growing up in America and especially growing or living in America and especially living in LA. There's not a lot of old places. Our biggest old thing is like the 50s, 60s where the studios used to
Yeah.
be. Yeah, like bungalows where like, Marilyn Monroe used to be. But we don't have like when you go into those areas, you feel it. You're like, "Whoa, this
Yep.
has like been here for."
Yeah.
And the buildings and everything, yeah, it feels different, right?
You
It feels
definitely
alive
feel it.
almost, like
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that
think
is a
that's one of the
whole
first things I mentioned, Adele, to Nicole. Like, we pulled up and I told her, I don't think we've been at a place that's
mhm,
built from that long ago, right? Because we
mhm,
know the land here has been here, but our mind is very much, oh, 50s and 60s, that type
right.
of thing. But this was like, running the land was being used in the 1700s, but the foundation was built in 1833. So my
Yeah,
mind was like very blown by that.
yeah, it does feel like when I went to England, I remember feeling that everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like, "Okay, this feels, like, alive in a different kinda way that I've never
Yeah.
experienced." Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really, really cool.
we pulled up and kind of instantly felt like goosebumps just kind of being in the presence of something that has stood for so long.
Mhm.
It's even hard for me to comprehend like life back then and kind of how it's still standing, and it was just like you definitely felt like you were saying, Adila, it felt alive in that it's been standing for so long and longer than we've been here. It's such a strange feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is so cool. So you had the rural lush green, and we talked about like it's all in the 1700s. And you pulled into the courtyard. So we talked about all that. So a couple of hours before you're checking in, um, why don't you, Nicole? Because you talk about you're kind of having some visions, right, with your eyes
Yes.
closed.
Yes,
Okay.
so it was actually very interesting too. Throughout our stay there, I would say most of the things kind of happened towards the end of our stay. Some of the things that happened to our other family members were kind of because we stayed there for 2 days. So it was definitely most of the activity I would say would happen like kind of when we're leaving the castle already. So yeah, we were in the process of kind of getting ready to check out. So we were packing and kind of taking our time in our room. And so I was sitting on the bed in our room there. And yeah, I closed my eyes and I started to see almost this face that was looking back at me, but I instantly knew that it wasn't a human face. It's weird because it was looking at me and its upper lip kind of protruded and ended at a point, so almost like a beak, but it
Oh,
was
interesting.
fleshy. Yeah, so it wasn't like a hard kind of material that a beak would be. It was like flesh as well.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah, and there's that knowing of this is not inside the castle, it's outside.
Hmm.
So I knew that it was kind of like in the forest area. It didn't feel like it was in the room with us, but it definitely was looking at me in a way that kind of let me know, like, oh, like you see me, like kind of like a little bit like interested in that I was
Remember
seeing
what
it.
color it looked like?
When I close my eyes and have visions, it definitely kind of just tends to be in like flashes of light, black and white, kind of.
Okay.
So I couldn't
Interesting.
quite pinpoint what color it was. So I had that staring back at me for a while, long enough that I was able to draw it out and show my sister what it had looked like. But after my vision had shifted and it showed me kind of a clearing in the woods. So, kind of a place where there wasn't trees in the middle, but it was kind of like surrounded by trees, a little like
Mm,
area.
okay.
And so I was just kind of
Okay.
wondering what, that had to do with, maybe if anything, the face I saw. And then after that, the vision shifted again, and I was shown, it was definitely a human body, and it was hanging, by its limbs. So at first I thought that it was like, when kids play on jungle gyms and you're
Oh,
holding
I see
onto
what
the
you're
bar
saying, yeah,
and your
mhm.
hands, it wasn't like that. It was like the hands were being hung from, I'm not quite sure from what, and the legs, so back facing the ground. If that
Yeah,
imagery is kind
mhm,
of I'm trying to kind of paint it
yeah,
out for everyone to kind of see. Um,
mhm,
and then that's kind of what I saw, and I relayed that back to my sister Angel, and then she kind of told me a little bit about what she felt from what I saw.
okay, and
Yeah.
what did you feel, Angel, from what you
Yeah,
saw?
so for me, a lot of what I feel or see is more of
Mhm,
a feeling. So
mhm,
Nicole tends to get the visions. For me, it's just a strong feeling that feels very random. It's to me, I'm like, what? Like, where did this come from? And I
right,
just felt a woman, but it felt like she wasn't a bad person, like she wasn't mean, but it felt like she was being like almost like persecuted, or she was in trouble for something that
mhm,
didn't necessarily feel like just or fair, and it had that strong feeling. And I even told Nicole, where it's nice to have my sister. This is like our, relationship together. I was just like,
right,
I
right,
don't
that's
know where
awesome.
this came from. Like, I have
Mhm,
no idea, but I have that true transparency I share with her. So I just
right,
spit it out, told her, like, this is what I feel. And yeah, we have no idea if it's tied to what she saw, tied to the castle. So we thought we'd, ask you.
okay,
Mhm.
alright, this is really interesting. Okay, so then, so after that, I just wanna make sure I'm following this story. Okay, we see the hanging, okay. Then, you're obviously, like, in different rooms with your
Yes.
family. Okay, so the first story is from your cousin about a girl on a bed. Do you wanna kinda describe what one of you describe what the cousin conveyed to you?
Yeah, so she told us it's very funny, because the way people can describe things that happen to them is just
Mhm.
just how it feels to them. So she was like, it was so weird. I was in my room, and funnily enough, everyone, it was so vast, this castle, that our whole family had their own rooms. So Nicole and I
Wow.
stayed in one room, but this cousin, she's younger, like in her, I would say, teens,
Okay.
but she had her
Oh,
own
wow,
room.
she had her own room
Yeah.
in her teen
Yes.
I think I
Yes.
would have been nervous at that age
No,
in a big
Me
that's
castle.
that's
too.
what's so funny. That's why I was like, I'm so thankful I shared a room with my sister,
Me
because
too.
everyone who was
Like,
like,
being a teenager, you're like, "Am I going in this room by myself in this
I know,
castle?"
everyone who was, like, on their own kind of had experiences, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm so thankful I shared a room with my sister."
But I think it was that excitement too at that age of like,
Right.
wow, we're on this castle. I get my own room.
Mhm.
So she had her own room, and, she just tells us casually, right? Like the next day it happens. And she's like, it was so weird. I had this dream, but I'm dreaming of myself in the same room and bed, like in the castle. She's in bed, and she says, in my dream, I look to the side of me and there's this little girl, and she's sitting, well, we say crisscross applesauce, but,
Yeah.
cross-legged
Uh-huh.
on the bed. And she's looking at her, and she's shrugging her shoulders and pointing to the TV. So our cousin kind of got that as a message of, oh, maybe like she wants me to turn off the TV. So without questioning it, she just woke up, she says, and got up and turned off the TV, and she just went back to sleep. And throughout our stay there, that cousin specifically is very casual and relaxed about things. Like, she was like, I don't know, that was kind of weird, but it was a weird dream, you know? So
Yeah,
she has that air about her.
it's very
She's
funny. Yes, because she would say these things, and I would look at my sister like, "Oh, like, I think, it's just
Yeah, like that
something
was
that."
weird.
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, she's like, "I don't know, sometimes castles come with people that just help you out and remind you, you might wanna turn your TV off," and, I mean, it was a little different, but, yeah, it was cool. It was
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, she definitely, it was very, like, casual, like, "I don't know, guys, like, this is what happened," and we're just like, "Oh, wow." Like,
Yeah.
That's cool, that's cool, I love that. Okay, so then we go to another aunt. So now this is a flip side of the coin. Your aunt's
Yes.
like completely freaked out.
Oh my
So
gosh,
then
yes.
your last morning there at breakfast because she said something in the middle of the night. Can do you want to describe that, Nicole?
Yeah, so um, we go down to have breakfast, and it's our last day. We're about to check out soon, and we kind of see her, and she's like, "You guys won't believe what happened last night," and we were like, "Oh, what was going on? What happened?" So she had said that in her sleep, um, a woman's voice had said, like right by her ear, had said her name out loud, and
Mm,
she woke up screaming, and her husband had to calm her down because they didn't want to wake up everybody that was kind of on that floor, which is all of us. And we asked her, was it a whisper? Was it your name? And it was her name, and it wasn't really whispered. They kind of just said her name outright, and we wrote in the email that her name is very unique. It's not, a generic name that you could kind of think, oh, maybe,
right,
she
right.
said, maybe she said this name, and it sounds like mine. No, her
Hmm.
name is not common, and so to hear that, I think in the middle of the night, really
Weirded her
scared
out.
her. Yeah, because it wasn't her husband, it was just them 2 in the room that
Yeah, and
they
she said it was a
shared.
Mm,
woman's name. I mean, a
Ye
woman's voice.
woman's voice.
That was
Yes.
said right at
Interesting.
her ear, yeah, so
Yeah.
she woke up so scared, and even at breakfast, she was shaken up, like, she was getting her eggs and her bacon, and she was scared.
She was
Oh,
very spooked. I know.
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I like it. Okay, so then multiple people heard hurried footsteps and knocking throughout the night.
Yeah, so for with that, it was multiple, cousins that had kind of heard, um, footsteps and knocking, and I think the cousin who, had that girl on her bed, she was telling Angel kind of about some of the things that she was hearing.
Yeah, with her, she was, like I said, pretty casual about things, but she told us she was hearing the hurried footsteps and knocking on only one side of the room, right? So there's opposite walls. The
Mhm.
other side of the wall would be another cousin, and it's not
Okay.
that side. But the other side actually has no rooms on that side, but a stairwell. And that
Mm,
stairwell, it was used back in the day as like transporting through the floors of the castle. It was used a lot. Um, so that's where she was hearing it. So it was odd because, she can't say, "Oh, it's one of my cousins knocking on the
Like, on
wall,"
the
or
other side.
right.
right. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you said one of your cousins said she heard piano playing?
Yeah, that too. So, another one of our cousins, she again is in a different room just by herself. Um, and she said that I think it was around like 4 a.m. that
Mhm.
she woke up to somebody playing piano above her. So this castle kind of has a lot of levels. So I would say in total maybe like 4 or 5 floors.
Okay.
So above her, she heard somebody like playing a song. Because I made it a point to ask her. I was like, was it just like them pressing keys, or was it
Yeah.
someone actually playing a song? And she was like, it was a song. Like it was pretty good. It was a. She was like, it was a tune. It was
She's
a
critiquing.
song.
She's like, I give that about a 7 out of
It was
10.
funny because she's a singer, and, I joked too. I was like, "Was it a good song?" And she was like,
Right.
"It actually was. It wasn't just random keys,
Yeah,
so."
it's just like, I could sing that,
Yeah, and then so that was at around like 4 a.m. And in the morning, she had gone and kind of asked everyone, like, did you guys hear the piano
Is this the
playing?
same cousin that saw the person? No, different
Different
cousin.
cousin.
Different
Yeah, this
cousin.
is a
Okay.
different cousin now.
Different
And
cousin.
so she was asking everyone around if they had heard the piano at that time, but
Mhm.
nobody else had heard it. And she also made it a point to ask if anyone was playing the piano at 4 a.m., to which everybody was kind of confused, and nobody was up there at that time.
Because there is a piano, we will say, in the ballroom. So it's about a
Upstairs, yeah.
floor or 2 above.
Oh,
So she was just
nice.
thinking, we have free reign of the castle, right?
Piano in
Maybe
the
somebody
ballroom playing at night.
maybe somebody went
That is
there.
classic. Yeah.
Classic, right? So, and this cousin was spooked. She was very spooked too
Oh, she
because
was
she
spooked.
was
Just
Okay.
scared,
banking
yeah.
on, she really told us in the morning, she was banking on, oh, when our cousins come down, I have a feeling it was them. She was like, they probably went upstairs randomly and
She's
just,
like, I'm not getting into your whole ghost spirit stuff, guys.
Yes.
exactly.
Like, I'm a logical person.
Yes.
Those
Exact
are
that
my
was
Uh-huh.
her.
favorite. And you're
That
like,
is her.
nobody's up here.
Yes, and so when she found out that nobody was playing it, then she didn't wanna go to the bathroom alone and stuff, so she's like, "Please come with me, keep the door open," and so
Oh, that is so cool. I love it, love it, love it. Okay. So lots of lights flickering, right?
Yes, there
Oh,
was just
that
all
was a
throughout.
constant.
Yeah, just all throughout, you're walking up and down this, like, grand staircase, and there's lights, and you just kind of see them flicker on and off, and I'm like, "I don't think it's, automated to do that." I don't think it's programmed to flicker.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's built-in ambiance by the
Yeah.
spirit realm. Okay, so let's get started. I am excited. What is this? This is like, let's get started. So I have a new song that I want to try out with you guys.
Ooh.
It's
Oh.
called Haunted Harp.
This is
Um,
feeling like the castle.
yes, well, that's what I kind of try to do. I try to tune in. I'm going to turn it down a tad so that people can hear us. All right. Yeah, this is the vibe that I felt, which is
Yes.
my favorite. So my feeling, I'm going to start with the piano. I'm going to like go last, maybe up, or just kind of hit whatever comes to me.
Okay.
And I feel like I saw a man. I did see a man at the piano, and he didn't look, his intentions weren't really friendly, is the best way I could describe
Oh,
it.
okay.
It wasn't like evil, but it's like a little bit trickstery, like a little bit like, well, this could be, you know, fun, and kind of, if people who are listening, I'm like making faces and, pretending like I'm playing piano. It's almost like he was trying to lure her up there.
Oh, wow.
100% got that immediate, like, okay, guy, what's going on? And it felt very serenade-ish. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Almost like there was a woman, and this was in a different time. So to be clear, he very much knew he was dead. He very much knew what he was doing. So this wasn't like spirits that don't know what's that they died, and there's people, because I feel the whole thing. Like, I feel like if I walked into this place, I usually feel it in my stomach. It, like, my stomach starts turning. You're making a face,
Yep,
Angel. You
Dela,
felt it in your
because
stomach.
I also feel things like that in my stomach. I tell
Hmm.
Nicole right away I feel nauseous.
Yeah, nauseous.
Yeah, I
Right.
Yes.
just feel like I'm upside down, nauseous, like
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of vertigo, but it's in my stomach. And I felt that at the castle for
Yes.
sure.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So just so everybody knows, so for both of you know, like when I work with people, and I think I did a mentorship with Nicole. When I work with people and I mentor or I teach classes or anything, I always try to stress that feeling is like the number one psychic, like, ability that people under, like, appreciate and under don't, and just think is not as important, but it's hugely important, and it's
Yeah.
the one thing I feel I get is feelings. I get feelings first, and whenever I have that, like, nauseous feeling, it does feel like there's a lot of energies here, and they're gonna make, like, they want people to know. Like,
Yes.
it's
That
not like on accident. Yeah.
Yes, that's what we
Mhm.
felt like pulling up, on the bus, and it's kind of funny to see everyone like, "Wow, like, this is so amazing," and me and my sister feeling so sick and, like, kind of feeling like there's so
Mhm.
many eyes on us, through the
Right.
windows, but it was like I was
Right.
like, "Does anybody else feel that?" Like, we're
No.
kind of looking around, like, and I definitely get, like, goosebumps and chills up my arms,
Mhm.
and it just very much it just feels like right away you step into it, it's like, "Boom, I'm nauseous, chills,
Yes.
everything.
Yeah, that's the feel. That's what happens when it happens a lot where I'll go to play, I'll see and feel things, and people just don't feel anything because they just don't
Yeah.
have that kind of thing. But yeah, so I feel like when I was looking, I'm just changing the light. When I was looking, I saw a man. I felt like he kind of wanted to lure her in. I do feel like it's good she didn't go up and her instincts are
Okay.
right, because I feel like something could have happened, like the door would have locked or something like that. So I feel like he was trying to lure her in there. The little girl that I saw, the reason why she pointed to the TV, this is just coming to me now. There's two things that happens with TVs is that if there's like high activities, high spirits, that's one way they can like come through is electrical devices. So I felt like it was almost like she was like, you might want to not invite more people into your space,
Oh,
so turn it
okay.
off as a protection thing, because there was no other reason that I saw. She knew what she was doing. She knew she died. Um, this was all again like on purpose. Um, the hanging is definitely like, I feel like you're spot on. There was just women were persecuted all the time. So I feel like that's what you
Oh.
were picking up on. I didn't really get a hit that it was anything particular more than like there was probably wars or just people just hung, got hung for whatever reasons. But the beak part was kind of interesting because at first I was like, is she seeing like the Black Plague, when they wore those masks and
Uh-huh.
they were having to wear masks at the time? You've seen the,
Yes, I have seen that.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you said it was fleshy and you said it was not long, right? It was
Yeah,
kind
it
of,
was almost like if a gargoyle, like I was talking to my sister, like if that but was like flesh. Like 'cause it
yeah.
almost
So
looks like
my feeling is that
yeah.
again, this is protection because gargoyles are representation of protection. So I feel like something was showing up to kind of say, we're going to protect you because it's kind of interesting. You guys didn't have as much activity around you as the rest of your
Yeah, we
family.
didn't.
Yeah. So I feel like at first I was like, is it that? But I was like, I don't know. It doesn't feel that way. It's too short. So my other feeling was like it was kind of like an entity, a being just of protection. Gargoyles
Okay.
are representation to like scare off. That's why they used to put them around castles and things, was to like scare off the spirits and stuff. They're
Got
for
it.
protection, to scare people off.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that was definitely kind of strange to have it looking right back at me, and it
Yeah.
definitely felt like something outside.
Well, when they're saying like, "Oh, you see me," it's kind of similar to spirits or angelic beings. They're kind of like, "Oh, you're tuning into this realm and you can see me." Because like I always tell people, those energies are in our space all the time.
Mhm.
My feeling with the flicker, I feel like the castle in general, it had like a good intention, like the family and everything. There wasn't anything negative, but there was just so many like people in and out there and died there and passed through there. So I didn't feel like I kept going like, is there some like big story to this castle? I didn't
Yeah.
feel like that. I feel like they just lived the kind of life you would expect people to live who lived in that type of setting.
Yeah.
um I don't feel like the spirits there love that people kind of utilize it like it's their home. That's the feeling I got, was like, this just, we want to remind you this isn't your home, that
Yeah.
this was our home and you're kind of a guest here. So again, if you ever go into spaces, um this is for everyone listening, when you go into spaces like this, you do always want to walk in like kind of reverent to the fact that like there's an ancient feeling to it, old feeling to it, that people did live there, they did die there. If you treat it more like a fun Disneyland ride, they don't like that. So
Yeah.
my feeling is they might have liked the fact that you guys were kind of aware of them, because they tend to like that. So in other words, let me back up a little bit. When I go into like spaces like this, um, that I feel and I can see people looking at me in the window, I will just kind of talk to them and say, yes, I see you. Yes, I feel you. I understand this is your space. I'm not trying to like disrespect anything. I'm just kind of visiting here. So you be cool to me, I'll be cool to you. And they will. But when people kind of
Oh.
come in, and this is what I feel like you guys didn't do this, but a lot of families or people who probably rent the space kind of run havoc there, they do not like it. So it's kind of like they're just already on guard to be like, what are you doing here? How are you going to treat this
Yeah.
space? We lived here, we died here. I feel like that's the whole thing with the flickering of the lights and the knocking. It's kind of more like they want to keep their like people aware of them, and that is it. There wasn't I keep kind of trying to reach for if there's any other bigger intentions.
Mhm.
There isn't any really bigger intentions, um except for the little girl, and the little girl who died. It was kind of more of a tragic death. It wasn't like she was murdered or anything sinister happened. I kind of get the feeling like with her, it had to do with like the vision I get has to do, like I said, I still feel like there was kind of illness that kind of plagued that, space. So I feel like it's more illness space than it is
Okay.
the other. Um, I feel like you were just seeing and experiencing the things that kind of passed through the space and that had happened in the space. Some spaces you go to like that and they kind of just don't, put that energy out, and some of them are like, no, we want you to know it was us.
Yeah,
Um
that's kind of
yeah.
making a lot of sense with a little bit now of the history that we know, with the floor that we were staying at. Because I think the castle kind of and the people that run it do a good job about reminding you of the life that was there before.
Mhm.
So right as you enter kind of the hallway of vast amount of rooms, there's like this framed kind of letter that tells you um, about all of the kind of servants in the past lived in each of these rooms, so
Mhm.
that they kind of like lived in these rooms and used the stairs. So the stairs actually that Angel was referring to,
Mhm.
that's right beside the cousin's room, they're actually
uh
this servant stairs,
mhm.
because I guess at the time, people didn't want the servants to be seen throughout the castle.
Yeah,
So,
that's normal.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they had to use those stairs up and down, and the rooms that we were residing in used to be their rooms.
Okay.
So that's kind of making a lot of sense with the,
Reminders.
yeah, and the amount of people too that are coming through.
Yeah. It makes sense because I didn't really see when I was looking, I didn't see like servants were upset or they were like angry about it, but it is kind of like the idea that this was a real life, real family. This wasn't like a fantasy and the real people died and lived here. So that was kind of the vibe I got from that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Adele. That makes sense because Nicole and I, well, us specifically, as soon as we stepped in and I got that nauseous feeling,
Yeah.
I told her, I mean, that tells me, it's like a lot of, I guess, activity or
A
people
lot
that
of
used to be
activity.
here,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so I told her right away,
Mhm.
we have right now, we're just the privilege of coming to this castle, like, having a
Right.
wedding and
Right.
celebrating. But it wasn't always like that for these people. So we talked about that right as soon as we got there.
Right.
So maybe
Especially
even,
like people who were servants, like they didn't live like
yeah.
glamorously and all that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the idea of like sometimes they got sick and they died and they didn't get the health care. And I kind of get the feeling the little girl wasn't like a royalty person
Mhm.
who died. So
Right.
I kind of feel like that's why this was happening. But you guys were doing well with your abilities and tuning into it.
Yay! Yeah,
And I
we're.
really, really
Mhm.
appreciate you sharing this because it's the best, right? When you
And
like going into a castle and experiencing that's kind of what you want to happen.
Yeah,
that,
it was
yeah.
nice. Oh, Adela, did you happen to see anything or get a sense of feeling with the voice in my aunt's
Oh, the voice in your aunt, I feel
ear?
like it was just the same. That's what I'm saying. I
Same
feel like they
thing.
were purposely. I have to say, I kind of get the feeling they messed with the rest of your family. Was more like you guys should like know we're here, and the fact that you're not like giving into that annoys us. So I don't feel it wasn't anything to do with anyone they knew, had nothing to do with who your aunt knew. This is
Oh,
purely
okay.
like, we live here, this is our space, you better like be aware of that, and we want you to know.
And that also makes sense, funnily enough, how you mentioned that out of all our family, Nicole and I had the least direct activity.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we were going
Yeah,
to get the most of it, nobody
right.
else, that type of thing. But that's fitting too with what you're saying.
Yeah, because you were respecting it and you were aware of it. So there you go. When you use your
Yay.
gifts, it pays off. Thank you all for coming on, both of you for coming on. I so appreciate this. This
Thanks
was
for having
awesome.
Of
us.
course,
I'm sure
Adela.
everybody's going to love it, because who doesn't love a haunted castle in Sweden? Thank you all so much. Bye.
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 Whew. Well. I feel like I kind of nailed it. Now, sometimes it's not like crazy things happening. There's no crazy reason why this is happening. They're not trying to like create some crazy havoc or, all of this stuff. Sometimes they just are trying to let you know that, hey, we lived here. This is our castle. This is our domain. We were important, or we mattered. And they will start to do things as they were doing, making the noises, making themselves known, just to kind of show. And especially the ones that are the spirits that were the servants, and they had to serve and wait on the people who were wealthy and things like this. They very much kind of want to be remembered, because it's not really the ones that are usually remembered, to be honest. It's the people who live there, and the people who, were the servants and the workers and things like this tend to get forgotten. And if you lived your life and that's what you did for people who are wealthy, maybe you're going to get people's attention on the other side. Meaning, like, maybe you're going to go, you know what, now that we're dead and now you're living here and I don't have to serve you, I am going to let you realize I lived here and I was important. So I kind of feel that's what was happening. That was the sense I got. I do feel like the little girl was like, hey, you're kind of making it worse by having your TV on, which is true, everyone. TVs, electrical devices in your room, it kind of brings and helps bring those energies in when they're trying to get your attention. I'm not saying that you can't have a TV in your room and that's just like always going to be a problem. Do I like that idea? I don't. But that's not really because I'm scared of it or anything. I just feel like that's what was happening. I feel like she was kind of like, hey, you're kind of making it worse. Maybe turn the TV off. And it was interesting that Angel and Nicole didn't have as many things happen, because they are aware. I don't know, because maybe someone like me has been teaching them how to protect themselves and how to be aware of those things. I didn't say this to them on when they were on, but I wanted to tell them, and I know they're listening, that obviously the two of you have abilities, and maybe I did say this, and you might want to look into harnessing them. I think you're on my Patreon. You can check out those classes. I do mentorships and things like this. But keep practicing, keep harnessing them, because obviously your abilities really came in handy, especially when you got to stay in a Swedish castle that had spirits. Anyway, I love this one so much. Thank you so much. This is why I always write in, because they thought it wouldn't be enough, but this is what I'm saying. Sometimes you guys don't realize that the dots do connect. And so I so am happy that you did. I love that you did. I love that you guys are kind of getting the point of this podcast, which is that you have to tell me your stories if I'm going to tell them. I know I'm psychic and I do all these things, but I can't psychically just pick up. It's too much work. It's already enough work doing all of this. So, help us out. Send in your emails to thehousemedium@gmail.com. Please write reviews. It really helps me to kind of keep getting out there. Comment on the things. You can join my Patreon, all the things. And I can't wait to keep continuing to meet you guys in person, because I'm going to start to do readings in person. I'm going to start doing events, and we have Halloween coming up. So I definitely have things planned. Follow yourself, follow no one, listen to your inner voice, and I'll see you soon.